And I want to follow up on the responses that President Englert and President Barron gave. Outcomes are really important, right? You don't want to invest in something that doesn't produce the intended outcome. And return on that investment is very important. There was a fascinating story by CBS News last October that was titled, quote, "As states cut funding for higher education, universities use lavish perks to compete for students." And the story highlighted Louisiana State University, and I will give you full disclosure, my husband is a proud alum of Clemson University. This is not intended to disparage LSU in any way. But they installed a lazy river for students while neglecting a library. President Barron, Penn State was cited in the article not for a lazy river or anything crazy like that, but it pointed out how hard it was to find students from Pennsylvania at Penn State. And the reporter visited the campus and found one student from Pennsylvania with the rest from California, China, Long Island, Houston, Los Angeles, and Rome, Italy. Bottom line is, I think we all probably appreciate in this room that we don't need, nor do we want, lazy rivers at Pennsylvania schools, but how are you keeping the costs down while at the same time encouraging our Pennsylvania students, and as many of them as possible, to attend each of your respective institutions?
I have to respond because, no offense, to walk around a Penn State campus and find one student from Pennsylvania, to be blunt, is a joke. 70% of our students are from the state of Pennsylvania. We make sure every single campus is majority Pennsylvania. We have no strategy to bring in out-of-state students as a way to come up with a budget issue, as many institutions have. I can name states which have their flagships, which are now 35% in-state students. That's not Pennsylvania. So the only way someone could come up with one student when 70% of the population of Penn State is in-state, and we take great pride in the fact that we're a Pennsylvania university at every single campus, is to work really hard not to talk to any students, or to make sure you only listen for an accent before you ask that particular question. So at any rate, we also, just so you know, the reason why we wouldn't necessarily have a lazy river is because all of the extracurricular non-educational expenses, our students are in charge of voting that as a fee. So they have to vote themselves an increase in a fee to have any recreational facilities whatsoever on a Penn State campus. Our budget is focused on education. We have a student fee board that looks at all of these other activities, and they're the ones that decide. So if they want to have a basketball court, they pay for the basketball court through their student fees if this is not part of athletics. So this is one way to save money, is to put the pocketbook issue directly in the students' hands. So I suspect they will vote no increase in fees this year, but they manage a considerable set of facilities. So I mentioned already working to save $150 million over a 3-year period. This is a significant amount when you add this up year after year after year. But I couldn't help but say that that story worries me because there's no way it's close to reality for Penn State.
I appreciate that, and I also appreciate that you are growing students who are fiscally responsible with their own funds, and hopefully that translates into adulthood.
It's a good educational opportunity.
Yes.
It is.
Indeed, indeed. I have to follow up on Senator Sanacero and Senator Martin's conversations about student loans. And we have a student loan crisis. It was not created overnight. And I think that, there are a lot of entities that bear responsibility for that. But I want to ask specifically about oversight on one specific act. And the General Assembly last session passed Act 121 of 2018, which deals with notification of student loans. I think the goal is that you have students who are 17, 18, 19 years old looking at $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in student loan debt over a 4-year span. I think it's hard for them to comprehend it. You know, you don't just get your driver's license, walk into a Ford dealership and ask for a brand new F-150, right? So students get into debt, so I think as much information as you can share is extremely important, with realistic expectations when they graduate and what that loan picture is going to look like. Because their success and their ability to pay off that loan is ultimately your success and all of our success. So I know it's only been in effect for about a year, but do you think it's making a difference in alerting your potential students about the cost of their degree?
We have a financial literacy program, and we have a program of keeping students informed, not only initially as they begin to take out debt, but keeping them informed regularly of where that debt stands. And that is critical. I think the information for students so that they understand, they and their parents, how they can manage debt going forward, and that they don't inadvertently end up in a situation where the debt just absolutely smothers them. But regular information is one that we use, and I think it is critical.
Before students accept their loans, they have to go through a sort of a process to understand their loans. And what I think is, had I known that when I was in school, I probably would have not taken loans that I didn't need. And so what I see happening is that students are being a bit more thoughtful about accepting the money. Unless it's going directly to cost, you don't have to take as much if you don't need as much. And so that education is really helping them, I think, to make better decisions about how much money to take, even though more may be offered to you. If you look at it in the long run, it may not be to your advantage. And you know, that's what education is supposed to do, help you to make better decisions. So I say yes, it's important.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.